What's up guys, it's Manga Time once again, and I'm here today to bring you my review of Bleach 574, Death in Vision. Now, I couldn't really work out if the title Death in Vision was foreshadowing Gremmy's death or Kenpachi's. Obviously it's more likely Gremmy's, although I suspect the chapter title literally is talking about how Grammy thinks he can kill Kenpachi just by imagining it. Not a huge amount happens this chapter. It's just a battle chapter, and it's actually been quite a long time since we've had a battle chapter that's not completely one-sided, that doesn't end with someone taking some massive, potentially fatal hit. So that's kind of refreshing. But at the same time, because you've kind of got into that mindset now where you're expecting that big fatal style hit at the end. The chapter kind of felt really short, I didn't expect it to end where it did. But anyway, it starts off with members of the 11th Division just noticing that this fortress, this platform just appeared. Now, this might seem like a bit of an absolute kind of nothing section, but there are a couple of potentially interesting things to take out of it. The two guys suddenly just feel Kenpachi's reiatsu, and then everyone else feels it, and they're like, "Oh, Kenpachi's here, he's going to kick some ass. We've got this in the bag." Now, this is the first interesting part. It might mean absolutely nothing, but in my experience, when characters are like, "Oh, the captain's here, we've got this in the bag," that foreshadows either a very difficult fight or an actual loss for the captain, or for the good guy in general. But anyway, Kenpachi's like, "Oh, they're always so noisy." Now that's interesting as well, because Kenpachi used to be all for the whole rowdy 11th Division thing, but ever since his battle with Yachiru, he's probably well, a lot of people speculate that he's changed quite a bit, that he no longer really kind of enjoys fighting the way he used to, or at least that he takes it a lot more seriously now, and that's going to kind of extend to just his whole demeanour. But anyway, Grammy's on the floor and he's kind of getting back up again, and he's basically because obviously Kenpachi sliced him, and he's like, they're free to believe what they want, and Kenpachi's like, "Can you heal yourself?" And Grammy's like, "Can I? Maybe I can." And he imagines that he's healed himself, and he has. And I kind of figured to myself that Grammy would be able to do this, because it doesn't seem that hard to imagine. And then we get the second most interesting part with all the guys, and he's like, "Doesn't anyone else find it weird that if the captain is on top of that pillar, that means that Kenpachi's been here for ages, and yet only now they've just noticed his reiatsu?" And a big deal is made out of this, so that implies it's pretty important. There's only two things I can think of that would mean they are only just now feeling his reiatsu. The first one is more unlikely, and that's that this Kenpachi is still just a figment of Yachiru's imagination. But even then, that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Well, it might do, but I think probably the more likely one is that Kenpachi is now a transcendent being, and that he had to lower his reiatsu to meet Grammy's. Although honestly, I don't know. It's kind of difficult to say. If he is transcendent, then Grammy doesn't have a chance. But I don't know. It'd be interesting. Anyway, we go back to Grammy and Kenpachi, and Grammy's talking loads of villain stuff. He's like, "People like you never understand my power," and he says that he won't kill him he won't even use a finger. He'll just imagine his death, basically. Then we get a funky title page with Grammy in it, looking all weird. That's kind of cool, actually. Anyway, then this massive plume of lava kind of shoots up into the air, and Kenpachi cuts through it. His sword must be pretty tough. But anyway, yeah. So Kenpachi cuts through the lava and it almost hits Yachiru, who obviously can't move because her bones are still made of cookies. Kenpachi apparently doesn't know what a cookie is. But anyway, yeah, so Yachiru can't move, so Kenpachi jumps to try and attack Grammy again, but he gets caught in this massive cube of water, which is quite neat. And then Gremmy kind of drops him into this crevice that Gremmy's created. So you know, it's kind of cool, but I mean, with an ability that you can imagine absolutely anything, his imagination is still relatively standard. I mean, he's not coming up with anything too wacky yet. I hope he does though, otherwise, because you know, just fire and water, that'd be kind of a bit dull. For an ability that you can imagine absolutely anything, I would like some really interesting stuff to show. But Kenpachi basically comes out of the crevice by blowing it to pieces. I didn't really understand what happened here. Well, basically, Gremmy is looking shocked, and then this huge chunk of wall comes flying towards him, and then it just disappears. Like, it kind of looks like it blows up. I can't tell if is Gremmy like imagining it disappearing or something. That's all I can imagine. All I can think is happening. But anyway, Kenpachi like jumps out of the dust, ready to strike. Gremmy blocks it with this huge kind of beam of like metal thing. And Kenpachi's actually holding Yachiro under his arm now, which implies that Yachiro's bones are back to normal. And Kenpachi himself says this. He's like, you know, Yachiro's bones are fine. Now this is interesting. This is potentially Gremmy's weakness. Kenpachi says that, you know, it took you a lot of thought to restrain me, and it did. He had to put him in the water cube, then summon the crevice, then drop Kenpachi in the crevice, then close the crevice, and then try and take away Kenpachi's breath. So, you know, that was a lot of thought to actually try and restrain Kenpachi. And it would appear that if Gremmy breaks his thought, like if Gremmy's concentration is latched onto one thing, and he perhaps forgets about everything else he's done, then that's reversed. So, like, he forgets that he's given Yachiro cookie bones because he's focused on Kenpachi, so her bones go back to normal, which would imply that Kensei and Rose are still alive, and they are going to survive the ordeal. Now, that's the end of the chapter. I know it's a bit random, kind of didn't take long. But, you know, the fight's still going strong. Both Gremmy and Kenpachi are, like, smiling. Neither of them have actually taken any damage yet, so it could take a while, this fight, actually. But yeah, it's nice to see a chapter ending on relatively even grounds for once. Now, something interesting to point out is that occasionally Gremmy's eyes change from their Tsukishima-style black eyes to, like, bright white eyes. And I think this is probably when he loses his concentration. I think that's because it happened when he got cut the first time. And I think that's there to symbolise when he forgets about something. So when his eyes are black, that's when his imagination is in full force. But when they're not, that's when, you know, he's forgotten about something and it changes back. But that's kind of it, really, for the chapter. I mean, as I say before, Kenpachi chapters generally don't have an awful lot to talk about, because they're just random swinging. But at the same time, it was an interesting chapter. It points to some interesting possibilities with Kenpachi as to about the reiatsu disappearing, and it would appear that we've got Gremmy's weakness at last. But I don't think he's dead next chapter, and I think we probably will see a Volston dig out of Gremmy. But I'm just hoping for a less formulaic fight than usual. So far, it's kind of heading in that direction. But what we get instead of that is shorter feeling chapters. So, yeah. But that's kind of it this week, guys. There's not an awful lot else to talk about. The art was good. As for panel of the week, I don't know, really. Kenpachi caught in the water cube was cool. Yeah, that was cool. I like that. That was neat. That was relatively unusual to see. Because water's not featured a lot in this manga, really. But anyway, that's it for this week's chapter, guys. I'm going to drop a 7 on it. Like, not a lot happened. Nice even fight. Some interesting choreography, some back and forth. But the choreography is kind of difficult to look at properly when Kenpachi is the only character actually kind of moving. Because Gremmy doesn't have to move at all to initiate his attacks. So yeah, 7 out of 10 I think, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this chapter. Is Kenpachi possibly a transcendent being now, or is he a figment of Yachiro's imagination? Or what else? I don't know. What else do you think is going on here? And how long do you think Gremmy's got left? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos and give the video a thumbs up. That'd be great. But that's it for this week, guys, and I shall catch you next time. Until then, see you later.